Hi, I'm Matt Broscious from Gentle Spirit Creations, and today I would like to talk to you about something that's been very special to me in my life and has also become a tradition in my family, and it's snowflakes. Every year I make a lot of snowflakes and we post them onto our window, and every year people ask me how I make my snowflakes. So I decided finally to make a video about snowflakes. I think it's time to show you how to do it. So come behind me and let's see how to make a snowflake. Alright, first to make a paper snowflake you're going to need paper. I just go to Walmart or Staples or whatever and buy copy paper. Now I did find that some copy paper is heavier duty than other paper and some is not as bright or white as other paper, and we usually get heavier paper for our copying purposes, and I found it's better to get lighter weight paper so you can cut through all the thicknesses when you fold a snowflake. This is what I decided to get. It's 20 weight. The higher the number, the thicker it's going to be, so 20 I found to be really good. And then I got what I could find was the brightest paper, which this one is 92. So this is the paper I use. So you need paper, you need scissors. Now some people are surprised that I use big heavy-duty scissors and not something really little to make delicate cuts. But again, because of the thickness of the paper, I have found it necessary to use big scissors. And these have a history too. These scissors were my husband's grandmother's scissors. So they're pretty special to us and I enjoy using them for that aspect too. Another thing you'll need, you can get by without it, and we did for a lot of years, but I find it much easier when I use it, is a protractor. That's what it's called, right, hon?
That's the right word.
Okay.
Yep.
I was getting confused and calling it the wrong thing earlier. So it's a protractor. And then something to use to help with getting nice crisp folds. You could just use the edge of your scissors, but I like to use this. And then a pen. First thing you have to do is you need square paper. So to do that, just fold one edge right up to the other edge. And then cut this extra part off. You can find some interesting things to do with that extra part. You can actually make it into little squares and make tiny snowflakes. Or a bookmark. Get creative with that piece. So I use my handy dandy thing here to smooth that off. What should we call that, hon? That's our creaser. We'll call it a creaser. Thanks for that help, Matt.
You're welcome.
And then you fold it again in half. Oh, wait, I had my square and I just started without telling you what I was doing. I folded it in half diagonally to get the square. That's right. And then I cut it off. So now I've got a triangle. Now I take this triangle and I fold that in half. Make sure, get it as closely matching as you can to the edges. That will make for a much better snowflake. So I usually do it with my finger and then take the creaser. Now I have a smaller triangle, but I open that back up. This is where your protractor comes in handy. If you line it up so that on the 90-degree mark, the center mark here is on your center fold line. Can you see that, Matt, in the camera?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to line that up right on the center, line your edge right on here. So I have it lined up there and lined up here. Then you want to make just a little mark over on the left-hand side with your pen on the 60 or 120 mark. I don't know why both numbers are there.
Depending on which way you're measuring from.
Okay, so which would I say, 60 or 120?
Just call them both out.
Calling them both out. I just make a little mark there. That's all you need the protractor for. Then, okay, you still have your fold mark, your fold line there. Put your finger there.
At the crease point.
At the crease point, so that you're folding from there, and it doesn't start folding like this. You want it to fold from there, and you bring this edge, your right edge, over to that little mark. And then make a crease. That's the trickiest part of making a snowflake. Then you want to fold this one over, and they should, if you got your marks right, you want a nice crisp point down here. Ah, it's working out pretty good. I got my 60 or 120 mark in there really well. So you can see I have a nice fold.
It's sort of like a snow cone with wings.
It does look like a snow cone with wings. Then you go back to that original halfway. You're going to fold it in half like this. Was that clear what I'm doing?
Yes, I think
Okay.
so. But
But you know what I'm doing.
exactly.
And I use my creaser. This is where it's really important to get a nice crease. Let's see, how many thicknesses do we have there now? We've
About
got
12.
About 12 thicknesses. So that's why I use the creaser, because it gets harder and harder to get a nice crease. Alright, so now you just have like a nice snow cone thing.
Star Trek emblem upside down.
Oh, woo, look at that. Okay, so now you can cut. You have to cut. And you can cut several different ways. You have one fold on this side. I usually hold that over to the right. You have several folds over here. This is going to be the point, like on this snowflake. This is going to be your highest point right there. So you can just cut sort of like that, and you'll get a more star-like, like which one was that? Like this one. You'll get a more star-like look. So basically, you're looking at this part of the snowflake, and you're cutting down into that. You're getting just that much area to look at, if that makes sense. So you could cut like that. You could cut where you come down and then down like this and cut, and you get more of a crystal type look. In fact, I think I will just do this cut right now. This is why I need heavy duty shears. That's a lot to cut through. And if you see, when I open it up, I'm going to have a star-like, a 6-pointed star. Now to get it folded back up right. And you can just go from here and make a couple quick cuts. You know, and this is how, and I keep turning it around. Big thing to remember, do not cut all the way through to this other side. You'll cut your tip right off.
So if you cut from one side of the triangle to the other side of the triangle, you end up making a big hole in your snowflake.
Yeah, and you really don't want to do that. Or you could just ruin the whole thing. You can cut here. You try not to go all the way over to the other cut either, because again, it would just cut off too much. Cut off here. I'm just showing you, you don't have to make very many cuts to make a really lovely snowflake. There I didn't do a triangle, got a little fancier there. Now if you cut off the center, you will have a hole. If you do that one point there, you're going to have a hole in the center and it won't be as secure. Like you can see with this one, it's not.
Cut it down a little bit.
It's a little bit wobblier of a snowflake, but it still works. So this was one of my sons. He cut off, actually, this was my husband's snowflake. And he cut off that center, and it looks really pretty that way. This is how it looks if you don't cut off that center. All right, I'm going to just make one more cut, and we'll see what this one looks like. So this is what, oh, maybe this is going to hold my shards. This is what it looks like before we open. And this is the part, one of the big parts of making snowflakes that I absolutely love. It's the grand unveiling, because you just have no clue what this is going to look like until you open it up. Now, one big thing to remember when you're making them is to unfold the folds as you go. Because if you try to do that after it's totally open, it's a little more difficult. So I'm like unfolding every fold as I open it up. Well, that was a little weak there. I got kind of close. But it's still holding together. Sometimes we have to use tape to keep them together. The goal is not to use tape. Alright, I didn't make very many cuts, but you can see that made a really pretty snowflake. And it's 6-pointed, just like the ones God makes. Now, for me to get a snowflake like like this one, this other example, I just did more and more cuts. And that's what I'd like to do now. I'm just going to do the whole process over again and cut a snowflake, and my husband will speed it up when he edits the video, and we'll see what I end up with. Okay, so another piece of paper. I will talk you through this part again because the folding part is the most challenging. Again, we need a square piece of paper. So you just make sure you're folding right in the corner there. Give a nice crease. Cut off that extra. We got another bookmark. I'm going to use my creaser to get a nice, crisp crease. Folding this corner over here to the other one. Then I have to open it up. Use my protractor again. Line up the center. Line up all the lines so you know you have a really good mark. So we go to the 60 or 120 mark. Hold our finger there. Fold it over. Get a nice crease. Now, this is the tricky part again. We're trying to get thirds. Fold that over. Get a nice crease. We used to, before we thought of the protractor, which I think when our oldest son went to college, he figured out, hey, we could use a protractor. Before that, it was just trial and error. And there was a lot of trial and error with all the snowflakes I'd have to fold for my kids to make when they were little. Folded it in half again. Get a nice good crease. I'm going to cut off here. Now we're ready to make a lot of cuts. And there we go. This was today's snowflake that you watched me make. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm sure you'll love making snowflakes too. And if you do, I'd love for you to share pictures of your snowflakes with me on Facebook at Gentle Spirit Creations or Janine Broscious. And I hope you enjoy this winter making snowflakes with your family. Thank you.